You are watching Travel World Online.
The Goa and Rajasthan government announced curfew in their respective states till the 24th of May. ITB Berlin sends a clear message from the global travel industry by appealing to policymakers for action. Abdullah Mossoom and Noda Othman joined PATA Executive Board. Two legends of tourism and hospitality industry left for their heavenly abode. The Goa and Rajasthan government announced curfew in their respective states till the 24th of May to contain the spread of coronavirus infection. In another decision, carrying negative COVID-19 test report or a vaccination certificate has been made mandatory for visitors from other states. With efforts of ITB Berlin team, the CEOs of the world's largest travel and tourism companies posted recommendations which will provide guidance and motivation to policymakers for what needs to be done.
There's a lot that we require our government leaders to provide partnership on. I'd say one of the most pressing issues we face collectively in this world is sustainability. And I would ensure that the measures that being discussed for the airline industry, create incentives, commercial incentives for people to actually invest in a sustainable future as compared to mandates and punitive measures forcing compliance.
Well, I think we should re-acknowledge the value of the air travel industry by connecting people, cultures, and economies. I think embracing air travel to the extent where it should be is one of the most important issues we have to solve now in the post-pandemic situation. And instead of sending people in general quarantine, I would say that effective testing concepts and of course also the eligibility of travel has to be digitally captured and enable travel to an extent where we can do what we want to do, connect people, cultures, and economies.
Probably, if I was a policymaker in a country, let's put aside IATA because they are totally on board with trying to do the right thing about all the segments of our business in the international airline side of things. But first of all, I'm still surprised at the number of governments that don't recognize the potency of leisure and it's the multiplier effects of that on their economies. And the first thing I would try to do is persuade people of the criticality of it to their economies. Look at Greece, 30% of its GDP is tourism, and we can name many. There are some countries that don't embrace it so much, but physically they can't, they've got nothing really to offer. But as the world has moved on in the last 30 years, this whole leisure thing, and I see that as one of the major growth segments in the next 10 years. The regulators, the policymakers have got to facilitate that. That may mean visas. Make visas easy. Employ the digital technologies that allow us to facilitate the flow. So your airport operations, entry into countries, introduce gold standards with regard to the entities that are supplying the products to the inbound tourism, whether it be DMC, destination management companies, whether it be the hotels, the restaurants. So you get a kind of gold standard and you have to get there. So that would be a kind of universal thing. So that the ease of people, one, to make bookings, two, to go through, not have to go through burning hoops of visas, not have to pay large amounts of money for visas. I mean, that all strikes me as a bit of a strange one, given that the effect of a tourist coming in and the amount of money that tourist spends in the 10 days, 2 weeks they're there, it really doesn't make any sense. Facilitate all of that. So make sure that if you are minded to grow this segment, as surely you should do, that all the levers that you can pull in the multiple stakeholders, whether it be in the tourism industry, whether ministries, whether that be immigration, whether it be security apparatus, whatever, all work in tandem to ensure that your country is seen as somewhere that people would come to and enjoy and leave and want to come back again. Yeah. So that takes policymakers at the top. And what I tend to find when I sort of deal with governments is that there is a high degree of compartmentalization. And there is not much dot linking. There are some that lead and are very good. Others are not. So you might see the immigration authorities, the security agencies, the tourism, the economics, etc., all working in different silos and not recognized.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for tuning in. ITB Berlin, the world's leading travel trade show, has asked travel industry executives from across the globe what measures they would take if they were to swap their industry hat for a policymaker's hat for one day. In the following video, you can listen to their quite often down-to-earth and always very inspiring answers. It's well worth watching. Enjoy.
Well, first, I'd like to acknowledge that, policymakers have a lot of different things they need to consider and balance. But, as Airbnb co-founder, what I expect is that there's this wave of tourism demand that's coming this summer. And there's going to be a lack of options. I mean, there's going to be so much demand that there won't be enough places.
You are watching Travel World.
Thanks for having me, Anil. I know it has been a while, and we have been working very relentlessly the last, I would say, 10 months, 11 months of working in creating Cordelia Cruises. Cordelia is an Indian cruise company. It has a lovely ship, which is the Empress. It's a former Royal Caribbean ship, which was Empress of the Seas. She's in the moment in Dubai, getting ready. All the logo has been putting on, and she's made ready for guests. The ship is amazing. The ship was very recently revitalized or refurbished for almost $100 billion before we received the ship. So the ship is in a very mint condition. It's very beautiful. I think it's the ship will be very, very suitable for our guests and in the Indian market. It's absolutely a beautiful vessel, and I think our Indian guests will absolutely love that ship. Unfortunately, we had planned a start May 7th. I don't need to elaborate on the current condition in India, unfortunately. I hope everyone is safe, and I hope the situation will get better soon. We work very closely with all the port authorities, teacher shipping, Ministry of Shipping, also Home Affairs, and with local governments, and therefore we made a decision to continue the fight of COVID and have postponed our start sail date until a little bit later this year. We are delighted to say we have a tremendous and overwhelming requests and bookings for our ship already in every segment, from individual bookings, wedding requests, wedding bookings. I don't have to tell you that I have to say that almost all our wedding dates for September, October, November, December are almost fully booked. So I'm very, very happy about that. Because that's exactly what we would like to see. A lot of happy families, a lot of happy weddings on board our ship. So I'm very happy to share that there is almost no dates available for this time of the year for this kind of events. Also, the corporate interest is extremely high. I think everybody is itching to go a little bit out and enjoy a little break from the last 10, 11, 12 months. And as you know, going on our beautiful ship, it is like going abroad, but you don't go abroad. You remain in India. And what we have seen is a tremendous feedback of the great new itineraries we created, especially around Sri Lanka and Lakshadweep. That's very, very positive. So we are very happy with the outcome so far. But not only that, we're also very happy that the boards have done tremendous work over the last 12, 13 months. As you know, there's a new board in Cochin. There's a lot of work done in Goa, tremendous amount of work done in Mumbai. I had the privilege to visit the new international terminal, which is coming up really, really nice. It's going to be fantastic. As well, Chennai is absolutely a great port. So we are very positive and happy with all the progress the government has made in supporting waterways and cruising of India. They have been very instrumental with all their work. But now, like I said, we're in this phase where we all together have to fight COVID. So cruising and waterways can come back safely for all our guests. As you know, we have been working very closely with all the authorities in creating the SOP to make sure we have very good procedures in place. And I can say there will be no safer or healthier place to take a vacation than coming on board of our vessel, the Empress. We have all the procedures in place, and I have to say most of the procedures in place for many, many years already. Cruise industry took a little bit of bad rap in this whole situation, but we are in a good place. We just hope that we can bring the crew back soon. And one of the achievements Inkla was able to do is getting all the crew as frontline workers in a new resolution from the government, so they all can get vaccinated.
What's your plans for Indian shores? Please elaborate a bit.
What are our plans?
From all places in India, Indian shores.
So,
from Mumbai and
we are going. You meaning the ports we are going to?
Yes.
Yes. So we will work with 2 home ports as main ports. Obviously, our main home port will be Mumbai. So we will be operating in Mumbai from September until May, until the monsoon season starts, and then we will be shifting on the other side to Chennai. While we are operating from Mumbai, we will be doing 2 and 5 night cruises to Lakshadweep, Goa, Cochin, Diu, Porbandar, as usual. Our biggest highlight obviously will be Lakshadweep. And then when we operate out of Chennai, we will be visiting Sri Lanka. We also have a couple of sailings to the Maldives. So I think we have a very good product covering the entire coast of India and the neighboring places to visit and take our guests, with a tremendous amount of shore excursions. So, and they are all organized as well in a very safe way, so guests can enjoy getting off the ship as much as being on board the ship.
So, how many cabins do you have? And if you can for our viewers, absolutely, you can tell a little more about the ship.
The ship is a fantastic size. She can hold in total 2,000 passengers. We have about 650 crew on board. We have over 800 cabins. We have a very good mixture of ocean view, balcony cabins, suites, and then obviously family inside cabins. The ship has a beautiful food outlets. We're going to have a tremendous amount of food court on board the ship. We have several restaurants on board the ship. We're going to have a Asian Indian fusion restaurant on board the ship. We have Thali. We're sure going to continue with Thal Empress to be our highlight. We have all the special equipment on board to make sure we cater again, especially for our Indian guests, to continue to provide this home away from home, now on the concept of City of the Sea or City on the Sea, making sure that they have an incredible experience. There will be no city like ours in the entire India. We're still going to be the largest hotel with 800 rooms. We're going to have fantastic entertainment. We have a beautiful auditorium on board the ship with 900 seats. We have one main restaurant restaurants, 2-story high, all covered in glass with almost 1,000 seats. We have a beautiful pool area. We have great kids facilities on board. We have a rock climbing. We have a beautiful gym. We have a great spa. We have, of course, a beautiful casino on board and a lot of shopping. So we're going to cover everything cruise ships do cover with the Indian flair.
You are watching Travel World Online.
Time Hotel Group to open 8 new properties across Middle East and Indian Ocean by 2022. Associations must swing into action now to gather the attention of the government. James Kodiyantra, Chairman IATO Kerala Chapter. Andhra government approves 2021 crore rupees tourism infrastructure projects. Sharad Pawar wrote letter to Maharashtra CM to support travel tourism and hospitality industry. James Kodiyantra, newly appointed Chairman IATO Kerala and Lakshadweep Chapter, spoke to Travel World Online TV at length and shared his views on different issues which are haunting travel and tourism industry. He said,
are we facing the lack of power to convince the government? These are my observations. Now the problem here is that even if the government ignores our requests or our demands, there are ways to approach them. It is our fundamental right to livelihood. If the government does not respond, that means we just stay back and say, we can't just stay back and say that, oh, we cannot antagonize the government. There's no question of antagonizing. As the government understood what we want, as the government heard us, there are thousands and thousands of letters going into the ministries every day. Where would our letter go and lie? As I said, they are the facilitators and it is up to us to gather their attention. Just on the CIS alone, they've been writing and writing. Even till recently, they've written letters. There's no response at all. There are options. Where there's a will, there is a way. For example, in Kerala, what we have done is the Kerala Travel Mart Society has gone to the High Court and filed a plea, saying that the CIS is our right, it is our way, it should be released soon. Government has admitted that travel tourism is in this way and they cannot move ahead any further. And we have got a favorable order from the court, High Court, saying in 2 months to take this decision and to release the CIS. Now, what we should do now? This is one High Court order. What immediately, I requested the associations, IATO, everybody, swing into action now. Get similar associations in other High Courts, not 28 High Courts. You just go to the 2 or 3 or 4 High Courts. You submit a similar plea. They will give an order. This is a way to get the attention of the government.
With efforts of ITB Berlin team, the CEOs of the world's largest travel and tourism companies posted recommendations which will provide guidance and motivation to policymakers for what needs to be done.
Well, I think first of all, the travel and tourism industry is such a critical part of the world economy. It provides thousands, hundreds and thousands, and perhaps even millions of jobs across the world. I think the governments, if I were in charge of policy, I would want to make sure that I create a good perspective for the future and provide the industry with tools and a roadmap of how we can get out of this crisis. People need a perspective, and governments are in well positioned to do that.
I think, well, I would put the hotel and travel industry in charge to reopen their inbound business. I think that's our bread and butter. And when it comes to dealing with crisis, and the pandemic is a crisis, I mean, we all know that travel industry is there to support the efforts of the society with the high standards of health and safety. That's a firm belief which we have in our organization. And politics should enable the travel industry to make their contribution in fighting the corona pandemic. And I think that has been something which, unfortunately, this industry has really have been left alone over so many months, and despite a lot of people have been fighting for this industry and have really tried everything to make sure that we get to the support which we need. Only in Germany we have over 2.8 million of people working in this industry, and I'm not counting all the related people which are working towards the industry. And nobody is listening, nobody is hearing us, and everybody is ignoring this kind of industry, and this is damaging the industry. And I'm only saying I'm really disappointed about the way this politician here are going to support this industry. I don't see anything so far. Of course, there is a lot of talking, and we know that politicians love to talk. But on the end of the day, let's walk the talk, and unfortunately we have not seen that yet. So maybe we will be lucky in the upcoming weeks that some of the politicians will change and will understand how important this is, also for the image of the country, for the outside world, which I think gets forgotten a lot. And I can only hope that people will reconsider and help to come to a solution very fast. Because having said one thing, to get some support financially does not mean that you have it on the bank account the next day. And I think therefore a lot of companies, unfortunately, will probably not be beneficial of that money because they will not have time to get the money anymore.
Let me just quickly note that in the immediate short term, it's about vaccination and testing and contact tracing. We have to continue to focus on that. That's the essential path out of this pandemic. But I think extending that a little broader, my answer is that I feel like there's a piece of infrastructure that we can improve on, and I would say that this is a coordinated effort across many, many countries, and that is the challenge. One of the key challenges that we face now is understanding what someone's status is with respect to their health in a format and in a way that is valid across all markets. It's sort of like if we all have passports that we travel with. If we also had a health passport, preferably digital, that would be one standard that we could use across the globe. Just imagine that. Instead of having, I don't know how many tens of different protocols and requirements, you have one platform that everyone could actually access and have available to them in the same way that people travel with travel documents. So I know that the WTTC has had some work on biometric standards for how we provide passage across borders, but in my opinion, it would be also highly additive if we could add some dimension of your health status, because I do believe there's a real chance that coronavirus may become endemic, in which case we're going to need to understand what your health status is for some years to come.
Well, that's the irony of the situation, right? Our industry, our travel industry, is very low on the radar when it comes to setting policies, decisions at the governing level. Well, using blunt tools like widespread lockdowns and 21-day quarantines are neither logical nor beneficial. So if I were a policymaker, I would really listen to those on the ground who have first-hand knowledge about the devastating impact on their business and use those insights to basically create practical solutions on how to revive industry and revive life.
If I were to swap my CEO hat for a policymaker's hat, I would certainly be looking at how do I work with this value chain and what are the different incentives or different actions I could take. And in that, one certain action that I would think of in terms of my policy making is incentivizing action on sustainability, because that will certainly speed up process by getting people involved in it. And the second is regulation, because there are some people that will get motivated by incentives. There are other countries and stakeholders where regulation has made so much impact. Example, if you look in Germany, the building standards are mandated to be at a certain level, and therefore hotels are typically, to meet those standards, built at a more sustainable level. So I just focus policy making on those two pillars.
You are watching Travel World.